This week on the Austin Healey channel, it's all about the boot, the brakes, and bits and bobs. Welcome back to the shop. It's Monday morning. I had a great weekend, posted a video, got some wonderful comments. So let's go through some of those. The first one was from JDJ Visser. Well, okay, it wasn't the first comment. The first one I want to address. He said that these plates that I have installed on the for the anti-roll bar are backwards. See, they're a triangle shape, and you can put them on either side, and it changes the spacing. So I started doing research. I went back to the videos I took before I took the car apart, and that's how I did it this time. Then I went back to season 1, and they're different. So I think he's right. This car didn't come with the anti-roll bar. I had to buy a new one, all new parts. It did have the plates, but I think the plates were on backwards. So I've got to switch them around. Interesting that they fit. Not so great that they're on backwards. Oh well, no job's done right until you do it twice. So there we go. It's in right now. Thanks for the comment. It's really wonderful to have hundreds of eyes looking at my work to make sure I do it right. Better than getting down the road finding out there's a problem. So if you ever notice I'm doing something wrong, just leave a comment, let me know, I'll check it out. Another of the comments I got this weekend was, how do I keep all the small parts organized when I take the car completely apart? Well, I don't. Let me tell you why. This is the season 1 box. It's a blue bin where I dumped everything. Season 1, I had bagged and tagged everything. Each one of these bags, was written what it was and what each individual screw was, blah blah blah. In the end, I didn't even go back into the bags looking for stuff because I replaced all those screws because they were rusty. So season 2 rolls around. All the parts, the small parts, come off and go on the shelf, and then the larger ones, medium-sized ones on top, and then I have the bigger ones in back and stuff. Stuff that should stay together, like this is the brakes, I think. I know, where is it? Here's the brakes. I throw it in one of these yogurt containers, so I know that this is all the parts that go with that. This is kind of the back room, and there's this weird staircase to nowhere. And I use it as shelving, really. So I have a lot of the weird stuff. There's the transmission tunnel from season 1. I got some of the weird stuff that doesn't go with it, well, that came with the car, but doesn't go on it, way up at the top where I don't need it. Stuff I've redone is down here, or smaller parts are down here. So some of the new stuff I've gotten. I have the new interior here. There's the radiator I've worked on. It helps that I'm doing one car at a time, so when I'm done with the car, I can condense all the unused parts into a box and keep them together. So this is made to go underneath, and I was looking, where do you put the bolt holes? So I went back over to my original one, and there's a bunch of extra holes and stuff, but none of them seemed to be right. Particularly that they were all on this side, none on this side. So fine, it started me down a rabbit hole. So I got on the internet, started looking at forums. I was looking for pictures, how does this bolt up? And I got to a forum post that was really interesting. It said that this doesn't belong here. This doesn't go here on a BN1. The 3000, sure, but not on the BN1. So what do? Do I leave it off? Do I put it on? I think for now, what I'm going to do is leave it off. I'll have the part. I can always add it on later if the heat's a problem. I also have these two panels that are supposed to go there and there, but my original box doesn't have holes for them. There's one little hole here, which might be the flasher. I'm not sure yet if it goes there or there. So, but there's no holes to hold this in place. So, I'm not going to put them on. You don't need to leave the comments. I know the gas tank's dirty. It'll get cleaned up. It's just in there for my mental health to show me where it goes, and it still fits, which is a good thing. Step one in fitting the boot trim kit is figuring out where all these crazy looking pieces go. These are the worst. Trying to figure out where that goes. Because it doesn't look like it belongs anywhere. The trick is this goes along the front edge of this, and the rest of it curls up to the back, and that edge gets covered up. There's another one over here. This little box has a lot of trim that goes in it, so that'll be very nice when it's done. And I thought the floor here would have trim on it, but it don't. So at least not in this kit. Maybe it's in there's another kit for the kind of the back of the cabin. Anyway, it looks like I know where everything goes, so I can start gluing it in place. There's a particular order to gluing things down that I like to follow. I like to put anything. Well, it's all about the edges. Like in this box, I'm gonna glue the bottom piece in, and then when you put the other piece on the side, the gap is hidden in the back by the thickness of this piece. So that's how I'm gonna do that. The other pieces vary depending on if the edge is trimmed or not. So let's get going. So it's day 2. I found the other box of Armacord and found out, figured out where everything goes. And I found that this piece should actually have gone in before this, but that's okay. You simply have to pull this back a bit and glue this flap down, and that'll clean up the edge. Not a big deal. Before I do what's called the spare tire glove, I wanted to install the spare tire to make sure everything lines up right. So to do that, I put in this bottom bracket and figured out how this worked. This just slips in underneath the center post, and this only works on the 48 spoke tires, wheels, because otherwise the spokes are too fat. It was interesting. The belt that I had ordered was too long, but luckily things are easier to make smaller than they are longer. So I cut the belt off and poked some new holes in it and have mounted it now. So that's all installed, and I can see how it fits on the front. On the front here, it just gets pulled up, and there's 3 holes along here for rivets. The original ones were brass, which I don't have, but I do have aluminum ones, so I'm gonna put those in. And I think this seam I'm gonna put right at the front here to keep it nice and straight. And then when this piece goes in, it will cover it up. From what I've seen online, there should be some padding here. The frame for the hood, the convertible top, folds up here and bonks against this, and some padding helps. So we have some of this good stuff. I'm going to put it on. And for good measure, we're going to do 2. This stuff's kind of thin. So next, we have this big piece that I need to work into place. Right now it seems excessive, but I think we'll get it to work in there. With all the Armacord in the boot, I can now turn my attention to putting the gas tank in. But first it needed a coat of paint. You want to see something beautiful? Check this out. These are all the new gauges I've ordered. They're reconditioned, and they look absolutely beautiful. In BN1s there seems to be no gasket that goes around this gas tank opening. I don't really like that idea though, so I'm gonna make one and put it in there. It won't be visible from the outside. It will protect the tank. It'll protect the paint that it's sitting on. I think it's just generally a good idea. I don't see any reason why there shouldn't be. So we're gonna do that. It's not original, but I think it's an upgrade. I think it's something that'll improve things. To make it, I have this this foam. It's pretty thin, but it's closed cell, so water won't get into it. And I'm just going to cut some strips out of that and glue it in place. Very simple. After last week's video, Bob S. left a comment saying, "You make it look so easy." And I jokingly wrote back that, yeah, that's because I edit out all the parts where I'm crying. Actually, this build has gone really smoothly, knock on wood. But here's one of those moments. So today I sandblasted, painted, and got these gas tank straps ready to go in. I wanted to get this all bolted up for you and the boot finished for this week's video. And then it hit. I went to put the D-washers on under here and found that the bolt has been cut off flush with the bottom of the floor. So it looks like the nut had rusted on there and someone just cut it off. And there's not enough bolt to get a nut on there. So this is the point where I start crying, right? Well, luckily I have a welder. I have some old nuts and bolts. So I'm gonna use a bit of bolt, weld it to here to make this longer. Not an ideal situation, but it is fixable. This is how things go though sometimes. You get upset about it and cry, or you can just get on and fix it. I think I'll wait till Monday to fix it. So I went away, had a cup of tea, decided I can't wait till Monday. I'm not that patient. That's about as far as we can go with the boot until we get the shroud on. There's two little pieces missing, one on each side, and then a bigger back piece here. Since we spent all week in it, let's talk about what it is in this week's Say What? Us Americans would call it the trunk, but that's what an elephant has. My tea drinking friends in England would call it a boot, but not like this. trunk seems to make sense to me because when you have a trunk, you can put stuff in it. It's a closed box with a lid. A boot doesn't seem to make sense because you lace it up, stick your foot in it. I don't think I've stuck my foot in the boot yet. Anyway, whether you call it boot or trunk, it's this week's Say What?
If you want to come along on the ride as we complete this project, click the subscribe button. If you want YouTube to tell you every time there's a new video, click the alarm bell. Thanks for watching, and your support is very much appreciated.